The Irish-Choctaw Friendship 1847. Of all the devastations to baffle Ireland, few have been as harrowing as the Great Potato Famine. Striking in the fall of 1845, a fungus-like organism called Phytophthora infestation started spreading rapidly throughout the island. Potato crops started to fail, turning black or rotten. The infestation ruined up to 1/2 of the potato crop that year and about 3/4 of the crop over the next 7 years. Because the tenant farmers in Ireland, then ruled as a colony by their landlords of Great Britain, relied heavily on the potato as a source of food, the infestation had a catastrophic impact on Ireland and its population. The British government began to import corn in the first year of famine, but there wasn't enough of it, and it was too expensive, so this had little effect from there on. The British government involvement was minor. The Protestant English believed this was God's way of punishing the Catholic Irish. Since Ireland served as a food exporter, the Great Famine didn't stop the government to continue to do so. On one side, the Irish population was dying of starvation, and on the other side, the British government exported food from Ireland. The potato crops didn't fully recover until 1852. Although estimates vary, it's believed that as many as 1 million Irish people died during the famine and another 1 million emigrated to escape poverty and starvation, with many landing in various cities throughout North America and Great Britain. Within such a hostile environment, the Irish felt that they had few friends, and yet for 1,000 miles away, the news of the situation in Ireland had reached the people of the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw tribe lived in the American Southeast for about 18 years. They migrated from modern Mexico and Western America and settled in the Mississippi River Valley area. This area included parts of present-day Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. Their language has roots in the Muskogean family language. They were a matriarchal society, meaning they placed importance on roles of women. Within the tribe, men served in leadership positions, but women were considered for input and advice. Males also joined the wife's family at marriage, and status in the tribe was generally earned by works that benefited the entire tribe. They lived off both agriculture and hunter-gathering. Mississippi Choctaws have a strong tradition of doing business. As early as 17, the tribe had developed a strong economy based on farming and selling goods and livestock to the Europeans, who were beginning to venture into Choctaw territory. Trade between the Choctaws and other southeastern tribes had long been established. Throughout the 18th century, the Choctaws were a prosperous people with large land holdings. At that time, they were at war with the Chickasaw tribe in the north and the Creek tribe in the west. The tribes frequently raided each other's territories, enslaving war captives for use as laborers. In 1747, a civil war also broke out, when the tribe was divided into divisions, the Western and the Eastern one. The Western Division started and wanted to continue trading with the British, while the Eastern Division wanted to continue trading with the French, as they had been doing, and not have contact with the British. Both sides were armed by their respective European allies, with the British backing the Western Division and the French supporting the Eastern Division. Also, the Western Division allied themselves with the Choctaw and the Chickasaw tribes after a bloody civil war. The Eastern Division emerged victorious. The Choctaws then ended trade with Britain and returned to the pre-war trade with the French. The war that lasted until 1750 left over 1,000 Choctaws dead and hundreds more captured and enslaved. As the United States of America came into being in the 19th century, the growth of the European market for cotton increased the pressure for the acquisition of Choctaw land, and in 1820, they ceded 5 million acres in west-central Mississippi to the United States. In the 1830s, the Choctaw were forced to move to what is now Oklahoma, as were the other members of the so-called five civilized tribes: the Creek Cherokee, Chickasaw, and Seminole. There were over 19,000 Choctaws in Mississippi. From 1831 to 1833, approximately 13,000 Choctaws were removed to the west, in what will later be named the Trail of Tears. More followed over the years, with a minority staying. Later they will fight in the Civil War as part of the Confederacy. The Choctaw, like the Irish, were familiar with how society hemorrhages in the face of tyrannical governance. They saw shadows of their own past in the Irish people. When news arrived of what was happening in Ireland, a group of concerned tribal members promptly rallied together to raise funds for the Irish people. 170 were raised and sent to Ireland for helping the starving people. Since then, the links between the Choctaw and the Irish have continued to grow. Former Irish President Mary Robinson, who would later become UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, traveled to Oklahoma in 1995 to thank the Choctaw people. In the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, the story has again surfaced into Irish consciousness. On May 4, 2020, in response to the Navajo Hopi COVID-19 appeal, many of the donors, recalling Choctaw generosity during the Great Famine, reached out in solidarity. At this time, the GoFund campaign raised more than $4.1 million, mostly from Irish donors. It seems that the bond remains strong between the Choctaw and the Irish people.